Welcome back everybody to another brand new video. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video, it means a lot. So today's job is a car that I absolutely love. So let's go and have a look at it. And that is a 1978 Mk2 Escort. Now this is not a concourse show car, it's been built with one thing in mind, and that is to be low, loud and fast. It's got a Harris Performance Pinto engine in it, just pushing over 200 horsepower. So this is definitely a car, if you want to get in trouble with the police or your neighbours, it's one to have. So Dream Car Giveaway own this car. Pretty much as soon as I give it them back, it's going to be on their competition site, so you guys out there can get a chance to win it. They've given me a list of jobs to do on it. It's a pretty mint car, to be honest, so it's only little fettly jobs. So let's get cracking with the first one. The first job on the list is the gauges. Okay, inside the car we've got some extra gauges on top of our standard ones. We've got engine RPM, coolant temperature, oil pressure, and on the standard ones we've got fuel gauge and coolant temperature again. So I've just run the engine up to temperature and both of our temperature gauges don't work now. Being a performance engine, we're going to be getting this hot. We need to know that it's not overheating. And also the rev gauge doesn't work. Now, revs you can judge, you can feel when to change gear and stuff, but it's here, so why not have it working? I can see the wiring loom behind the gauges goes down and across to the passenger footwell. Now I can see two problems with this, which are, one, you're going to be a passenger of this car, you're going to be absolutely pooing your pants for the entire drive. And two, you're going to be constantly reaching for that imaginary brake pedal that ain't there. Now the wiring going that way, somebody like me with massive feet that's going to be panicking a bit, I reckon we got some wires that have been pulled off. It obviously all worked at one point in its life, so let's get it working again, let's get cracking. So first I think we'll trace this live back and make sure we've got power. There's nothing working when you press the buttons on the speedo, so hopefully it's just, yeah, that's the issue. So let's have a look. So there's the live, starts, goes up here and then loops round. Does it come back down? Comes back down here and then loops round, goes up there to that one. Oh, and then comes back to that connector there. So then where does it go? It goes up it goes here and then that goes up, loops back round on itself, comes back down here and across to there. There's our live, and then that, oh, actually goes to that. So we've got a power that comes out, does like a 10 meter round trip, so it comes out there, goes all the way up round here, round that way, and then comes back and it's actually there. So, well, at least we can test that now. So let's see. So on this probe, red is live, green is if we got an earth. Let's turn the ignition on. We got a green. So that means we've got no power down to this speedo. Let's turn that switch on, see what that does. That's the ECU. No, it's still green. So we've got no power. So now where does that go? That now goes up there and into the original loom. Don't know if you can see that up there. That almost looks like the old cigarette. Did they have cigarette lighters in these? I don't know if they did. And then it comes down through this and across this way. Oh, and then up to the fuse box. So let's go and test the fuses under the bonnet. Okay, so the fuse box is in the standard place on these. Let's take the covers off. Now, on these, the terminals at the back are the lives in, so like off the ignition or off a switch or off the battery. So if you put the probe on it, it should show red, which means there's a live coming in. And then checking the fuse, we just drag it down the fuse and to the other side, and again the other side's red. So that means that fuse is okay because there's power coming in, going through the fuse and going out. So let's test the next one, and that's red and red out. Now that one's a green. That's because it could be a light switch or something like that. The lights aren't on, so we're not going to get a power there. So let's have a look. So green, 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 red, nothing, red, nothing. So I think we found our problem. There's power going in, but not coming out of that last fuse. So what I'll do, I think, is change, oh no, that. So we got red there, but then on that end of the fuse, it's already not red. So it's probably going to be the terminal, maybe, or a bit of corrosion in there. So I'll clean these up, and then we'll have another test. Right, I've cleaned all those up. Let's have a go. Red, red, yes. Red, red, mint. I think that sorted it. Let's go and see if our rev gauge works. So let's give it a test, shall we? Right, ignition on. Oh, we got lights now, the shift lights coming on, and yeah, if we press this button, whatever that does, push to display, I suppose that's maximum revs. That works as well, so let's turn it on. Fuel, ignition, start. Try tapping it. And it still don't work. Right, what I think I'm going to do, the wiring, it's not a mess, it's okay, it's all insulated, it's tied up out the way, but it's just not kind of like I'd have it. So I think I'm just going to start cutting a few bits out, make it a bit shorter, just tidy it a little bit, and hopefully along the way I'll find my problem. So let's start the time lapse. Right, so before we start wading into this wiring loom and sorting it out, just have a look at that. See that there says board and the little green wire hanging next to it. Yeah, I didn't notice that at first, but that's our problem. So I start by cutting all the cable ties, holding the wiring loom up and dropping it all down so I can see what I can cut out of it and shorten and just make a little bit tidier. That's when I noticed this wire that says dashboard on it. It's got a little connector on the end that ain't connected to nothing, and then funnily enough next to it that green wire comes out the back of that rev gauge, and that's what's been kicked off. It's just in a place, unfortunately, where yeah, someone like me with big feet can just smack it off. As I say, this wiring loom, it worked fine. It's all insulated, everything's tied up pretty much. It's just, for me, I just like stuff a little bit neater. Just my OCD kicking in. Where the heater box used to be, we got wires tucked up in the mounts for the heater box. So I'm basically just gonna cut all these cable ties off, get it all together and just see what I can do with it. And then cut to about 5 hours later, I've managed to get all this out of it, which is good. So let's have a look. You can see above the ECU where we had a lot of coiled wires, it was stuff that wasn't used, like lambda probe wiring, which you don't need, radiator fan wiring, stuff like that. I've just cut it all out and tidied it up nice. And then when you move across, you can see now everything's routed nice. It's all up out the way. You ain't gonna kick this off with your feet anymore. Job's a good one. So now there's just one thing left. Let's start up the car, cross our fingers because I've taped all this up now. Hopefully it's gonna work. And let's check this rev gauge. Okay, the moment of truth, let's have a go. Ignition. Yeah, we've got power. Fuel, ignition. Amazing. Well, that's the result. We got one gauge working. Now it's just time for the temperature. I think with the temperature, I'll just check the wiring first. I'll just pull the wire off the back of the switch and earth it out, and hopefully a direct earth should make our temperature go to hot, and then if that works, I suppose it's just a switch. Let's have a go. So there's the switch. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try and zoom in. Hang on. There we go. There we go. Just there. That one. So hopefully, let's turn the ignition on. And there we go. The fuel gauge goes up, but yeah, it's cold, so the temperature gauge ain't going to move anyway. But if we pull this off and just hold it against something on the engine, hopefully, yeah, it goes up to the top. So we know the wiring's good to the switch. So let me zoom back out again. Let's change that switch. I'll order one in. So as we can see, I'm just time-lapsing this bit. Yeah, it's gone up now. It's just getting up to quarter, so that's working. So that's good. Unfortunately, this other aftermarket temperature gauge doesn't work. While I was doing the wiring, I can see it's been disconnected, but at least we've got one working, and we can now see how hot our engine's getting. That's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I only got one job on the list done. There's many more to come, little fiddly bits, which is good. If you noticed again, there's no adverts through the middle of this video, so hopefully that deserves a thumbs up. And yeah, please subscribe, and there's more of this coming. So that's it from me. I'll see you on the next one. Ta-da.